The great hall of the Galactic Council was filled with representatives from 100 different worlds. Some had scales, some had fur, and some looked like walking crystals. They all sat in their designated seats high above the central speaking floor. Today was supposed to be a normal meeting about trade routes and mining rights. But then Vex Thor walked to the center. He was a Krillian, tall and covered in thick armor-like skin. His species had conquered 12 worlds in the past century. They were proud warriors who believed strength was everything. Vex Thor's voice boomed through the chamber as he made his announcement. The Krillian Empire has decided to claim the human colonies in the Outer Rim. These primitives have no right to those valuable systems. We will take what should belong to a superior race. Silence fell over the council. Then the noise began. Some species gasped. Others argued. A few nodded in agreement. Humans were young in galactic terms. They had only been traveling between stars for 50 years. Many species still saw them as children playing with technology they barely understood. De Huang sat perfectly still in the human section. He was a middle-aged man with gray hair and calm eyes. As Earth's ambassador, he had heard worse insults. But this was different. This was a declaration of war. An old reptilian counselor named Thrain slowly stood up. His scales were pale with age, and his voice cracked as he spoke. Commander Vex Thor, I must strongly advise against this action. You do not understand what you are proposing. Vex Thor laughed. It was a harsh, mocking sound. What is there to understand, Elder? The humans have a few colonies and even fewer ships. They are weak. They will surrender or be crushed. Other counselors began speaking at once. Some supported Thrain. Others supported the Krillians. The chamber became chaotic with a dozen different languages being translated at once. Thrain raised his hand for silence. His ancient eyes fixed on Vex Thor. I was here during first contact. I remember what happened with the Vraxians. I beg you to reconsider. The Vraxians? Vex Thor waved dismissively. That incident was 50 years ago. Everyone knows it was exaggerated. Primitive species always tell tales to make themselves seem dangerous. I will not be frightened by bedtime stories. Throughout all of this, De Huang remained silent. He watched and listened. His face showed nothing. Finally, the council chairman asked him to speak. De Huang stood slowly. He was not tall or impressive looking. He wore a simple suit, not armor or ceremonial robes. When he spoke, his voice was quiet. Everyone had to lean forward to hear him. The human colonies in the Outer Rim are home to 3 million civilians. They include families, children, and elderly people who have lived there for generations. I formally request a 72-hour grace period to arrange evacuation procedures. Vex Thor laughed again. See, they run already. This proves my point. But Elder Thrain was not laughing. His eyes were wide with something that looked like fear. He knew what De Huang was really doing. The human was not asking for time to run away. He was asking for time to prepare. The council voted. The grace period was granted. De Huang bowed politely to the council and walked toward the exit. As he passed Thrain, the old reptilian whispered, I tried to warn him. De Huang stopped for just a moment. I know. Thank you for trying. Then he continued walking, his footsteps echoing in the chamber. Vex Thor was already on his communication device, ordering his fleet to mobilize. 300 warships would gather at the edge of Krillian space. It would be the largest show of military force in a decade. The humans had 12 ships in the Outer Rim, 12 against 300. It would be over in days. As the council session ended and representatives filed out, Thrain remained seated. He looked old and tired. Another elder counselor, a floating gas being named Plex, drifted over to him. Should we have told them? Plex asked. About what really happened to the Vraxians? Thrain shook his head slowly. It is classified for a reason. The humans agreed to keep it secret to maintain peace. We cannot break that agreement now. But thousands of Krillians might die. I know, Thrain said sadly. I sent a warning to their high command. I marked it urgent. I included historical files, but Vex Thor will ignore it. His pride will not let him believe that humans could be dangerous. What do we do now? Thrain looked toward the empty space where De Huang had stood. We wait, and we pray that when this is over, there will still be a chance for peace. Far across the galaxy, Captain Una Park received an encrypted message on her ship, the Indomitable. She read it twice, then called her crew to battle stations. The message was simple. Condition read, expected hostiles in 72 hours. Begin Protocol 7. Her crew moved with practiced efficiency. There was no panic, no fear, just cold determination. They had trained for this. Humans always trained for the worst. The countdown had begun. Elder Thrain walked slowly through the empty corridors of the council building. His old bones ached, but his mind was troubled more than his body. He pressed a button on his communication device and sent a coded message to 3 other elder counselors. The message said only, "We must talk. Chamber 7, now." Chamber 7 was a small, secure room used for classified discussions. When Thrain arrived, the others were already there. Plex floated near the ceiling, his gaseous form shifting colors with worry. Counselor Mora, an insectoid being with many eyes, clicked her mandibles nervously. The 4th member was Grent, a large bear-like creature covered in silver fur. "Why have you called us?" Mora asked. "The decision is made. The Krillians will attack." Thrain sealed the door. "We need to discuss what to do when the truth comes out. Because it will come out now. The humans will not hold back." "The Vraxian incident," Plex said quietly. "Yes," Thrain confirmed. "I was hoping we would never have to speak of it again." Grant growled low in his throat. "I still have nightmares about the reports. About what the humans did." "Then we must tell the story properly," Thrain said. "Before rumors spread. Before the galaxy panics." On Earth, in a small research facility, a young man named Bin Choi was having trouble sleeping. He was a historian who specialized in humanity's early space travel period. For months he had been investigating something strange. There were gaps in the historical records from 50 years ago. Ships that disappeared from logs, military units that never officially existed, and always the name Vraxian was redacted or missing. Bin had special clearance because of his university position, but even he could not access the classified files. Tonight, however, something was different. His computer terminal beeped. A message appeared. "Your security clearance has been upgraded. Authorization, Ambassador De Huang. Reason, public interest. Access granted to file VX001. Bin's hand shook as he opened the file. What he read made his blood run cold. Back in Chamber 7, Thrain began to tell the story. His voice was soft but clear. 50 years ago, the Vraxian swarm made contact with Earth. The Vraxians were a hive species, brutal and efficient. They saw Earth as a rich world full of resources. They did not know humans had recently developed faster-than-light travel. The Vraxians thought they were raiding a primitive planet. Mora clicked sadly. "I remember the Vraxians. They were fearsome." Thrain emphasized. "They attacked Earth with 200 ships. The humans had only 30 ships in orbit. Old ships. Simple designs. The Vraxians expected easy victory," Plex shimmered. "But it did not go as they expected." "No," Thrain continued. "The human defense fleet was commanded by Admiral Jin Quan. He was young then, only 40 years old. When the Vraxians attacked, he did something unexpected. He did not try to win. He tried to learn. Learn what?" Grant asked. "Everything. How Vraxian ships moved. How they communicated. Their tactics. Their weaknesses. The human fleet fought a defensive battle for 6 hours. They lost 20 ships. Millions died on Earth, but they gathered data." Thrain pulled up an old hologram. It showed Earth, burning in several places from Vraxian attacks. The Vraxians broke through and attacked the surface. They thought they had won. They called for more ships to come and harvest the planet. "What happened next?" Mora asked, though she knew the answer. "The humans had a weapons engineer named Hei Song. During those 6 hours of battle, she analyzed the Vraxian shields. She found a frequency they could not block. In 8 hours, she designed a new weapon. In 16 hours, human factories built 1,000 of them. The hologram changed. It showed human ships, different now, modified and dangerous looking. Admiral Quan did not wait for the Vraxians to attack again. He took the offensive. The new weapons cut through Vraxian shields like they were not there. In 2 days, every Vraxian ship in Earth's system was destroyed. But it did not end there, Plex said. "No," Thrain agreed. "The humans were angry. Their cities were damaged. Millions were dead. So they followed the Vraxian ships back to their home systems. They hunted them. The Vraxians tried to run. They tried to fight. Nothing worked. The hologram showed star maps with human ships moving from system to system. It took 6 months. 6 months of systematic hunting. When it was over, the Vraxian swarm was extinct. Every ship, every colony, every trace of their civilization was gone. The room was silent. These counselors had known the story, but hearing it again still shocked them. The humans came to us afterward, Thrain said. They were not proud of what they had done. They seemed almost ashamed. They asked us to keep it secret. They said they did not want to be feared. They wanted peace. They agreed to limit their military expansion. They agreed to join the council as peaceful members. And we agreed, Mora said. Yes, we thought it was wise. We thought if we gave them friendship instead of fear, they would stay peaceful. And they have. For 50 years, humans have been model citizens of the galaxy. They trade. They explore. They help others. But now the Krillians have reminded them why they built such terrible weapons. Grant finished. Bin Choi sat back from his computer, his face pale. The files showed everything. Battle reports. Engineering documents. Casualty lists. The Vraxians had been completely destroyed. Not defeated. Not conquered, erased. But what shocked him most was a personal log from Admiral Kwan. It was written after the war ended. Bin read it 3 times. We did what we had to do. We protected our home. But I hope we never have to do this again. War is not glorious. It is not heroic. It is terrible and necessary, and should always be the last option. We won because we had no choice. Because they attacked our families. I pray that the galaxy learns from this and chooses peace. Bin understood now. The humans had not hidden their victory because they were ashamed of being strong. They hid it because they knew what fear does to peace. They wanted to be friends with the galaxy, not its terror. But the Krillians had not chosen peace. They had chosen war. Bin began writing a report. If the galaxy was about to see what humans could do, they needed to understand why humans were this way. They needed to know the whole story. In Chamber 7, Thrain looked at his fellow elders. Should we tell the council before the battle begins? Vexthor will not believe it, Plex said. Then we prepare for the aftermath, Thrain decided. We prepare to help both sides when this is over, because there will be survivors who need to understand what happened and why. Captain Una Park stood on the bridge of the Indomitable and watched the timer count down. 72 hours had become 71, then 60, then 48. Now only 6 hours remained. Around her, the bridge crew worked silently. There was no panic, no rushed movements, just calm professional efficiency. Status report, Una said quietly. Her first officer, Lieutenant Tae Lim, looked up from his console. All civilian transports have cleared the colonies. 3 million people evacuated successfully. The last ship departed 2 hours ago. Weapons platforms, fully deployed. We have 200 automated defense satellites in position. The asteroid bases are online. All systems green. Una nodded. She was 43 years old and had been in the Space Navy for 20 years. She had trained for situations like this, but she had hoped never to see one. War was wasteful. War was painful. But sometimes war was necessary. What about the reserve fleet? She asked. Tay smiled slightly. The Krillians are going to be very surprised. Down on the colony world of New Sol, Marine Commander Wu Jiang was doing final equipment checks with his team. They were boarding specialists, trained to fight inside enemy ships. Wu was a big man, muscular and scarred from training accidents. His face was calm, but his eyes were hard. Remember, he told his squad, we disable their ships if possible. We only destroy them if we must. The goal is to end this quickly. Why not just blow them all up? A young Marine asked. Because we are not murderers, Wu said firmly. We are soldiers. We fight when attacked. We protect our people, but we do not kill for fun. Every Krillian who dies is someone's family member. We do only what is necessary. The Marines nodded. They understood. Humans had learned long ago that cruelty in war only created more war later. Better to be efficient and merciful when possible. In a hidden base on a large asteroid, Intelligence Officer Narration studied her displays. She was small and thin with sharp eyes that missed nothing. Her job was to track enemy movements and predict their actions. Right now she was watching the Krillian fleet assemble. 300 ships, she muttered. Vexthor really wants to make a statement. Her assistant, a young man named Quan, looked worried. That is a lot of ships, Commander. Nari smiled coldly. It is, but they are thinking old tactics. They expect us to run or surrender. They do not expect us to fight smart. How smart are we fighting? Very smart. Watch and learn. The timer reached 0. Long-range sensors detected the Krillian fleet entering human space. They moved in a standard military formation. shields up, weapons ready. At the front, Commander Vexthor stood on his flagship bridge, confident in his victory. "Scan for human ships," he ordered. "We detect 12 vessels, Commander. Small military ships. No heavy cruisers or battleships." Vexthor laughed. 12 against 300. "This will be over before it begins. Open a communication channel." On the indomitable, Una received the incoming call. Vexthor's face appeared on her screen, arrogant and smug. "Human Captain, I am Commander Vexthor of the Krillian Empire. You are ordered to surrender immediately. Lower your shields and prepare to be boarded. If you comply, you will be treated fairly. If you resist, you will be destroyed." Una looked at him for a long moment. Then she spoke, her voice cold and clear. "You were warned. What follows is on you." She cut the connection. Vexthor stared at his blank screen, anger rising in his chest. "All ships, advance. Target those 12 ships. Fire at will." The Krillian fleet moved forward. Then things began to go wrong. The 12 human ships did something unexpected. They split up and scattered in different directions at high speed. The Krillians tried to target them but found it difficult. The human ships were faster than expected. "No matter," Vexthor said. "There are colonies ahead. We will bombard them and force the humans to come defend them." But when the fleet reached the first colony world, the planet appeared empty, abandoned, no shields, no defenses. "Just empty cities, where are they?" Vexthor demanded. Then the asteroids came alive. Hidden weapons platforms that had looked like ordinary rocks suddenly powered up. They fired beams of concentrated energy that cut through Krillian shields. 5 ships exploded before anyone could react. "Evasive maneuvers," Vexthor shouted. The Krillian ships scattered, trying to avoid the incoming fire. Then the satellites activated. 200 small automated defense platforms opened fire from every direction. They were not powerful enough to destroy ships alone, but they damaged shields and weapons. And then the civilian transports returned. Nari had planned this carefully. The ships that evacuated civilians had been modified. Under their civilian hulls were military weapons and armor. They looked harmless but were deadly. Now they came back 50 ships strong and attacked the confused Krillian formation from behind. "What is happening?" Vexthor screamed. "These are civilian ships." "No, sir," his sensor officer said, voice shaking. "They are disguised military vessels. We have been deceived." The battle became chaos. The Krillians had expected an easy fight. Instead, they were surrounded by threats from every direction. The 12 actual military ships used the confusion to make attack runs, targeting command ships and supply vessels. They moved with precision, like surgeons, cutting apart the enemy fleet piece by piece. Tay Lim led his fighter squadron through the battle. His small ship danced between Krillian vessels, firing precisely targeted shots at weapon systems and engines. His squadron followed his lead, working together like a pack of wolves. "Target their communications array," he ordered. "Make them blind and deaf." On the asteroid base, Nari coordinated everything. She moved forces like pieces on a game board, always staying one step ahead of Krillian reactions. When they tried to regroup, she attacked their flanks. When they tried to retreat, she blocked escape routes. Commander Wu Zhang and his Marines did not have to board any ships yet. The Krillians were too busy trying to survive the initial assault. But Wu watched and waited, ready to strike when needed. After 6 hours of battle, the Krillians had lost 90 ships. 90 out of 300. The human casualties were minimal. 5 damaged ships, no destroyed vessels, no deaths. Vexthor could not believe it. His proud fleet was being torn apart by an enemy he had thought weak and primitive. His pride was shattered. His confidence was gone. Now there was only fear. He sent an emergency message to Krillian High Command. "Send reinforcements. Send everything. The humans are not what we thought. They are dangerous. They are—" He could not finish. He did not have words for what he was seeing. The humans fought with cold efficiency. No rage, no cruelty. Just systematic destruction of his fleet. On the Indomitable, Una watched the battle data and felt no joy. She felt only sadness. "Such a waste," she said quietly. "We tried to warn them." Tay looked at her. "What do we do now, Captain?" "We continue," she said. "We defend our homes, and we hope they learn before more must die." Commander Vexthor sat in his damaged command chair and stared at the casualty reports. The numbers made no sense to him. In 3 days of fighting, his fleet had been reduced from 300 ships to 180. The human forces had lost only 12 ships total, and most of those were only damaged, not destroyed. His communication officer approached carefully. "Sir, we have received a response from High Command. They are mobilizing additional forces. 200 more ships will arrive in 5 days. 5 days, Vexithor repeated. His voice was hollow. We may not have 5 days. The officer hesitated, then spoke again. Sir, there are also nice prisoners. The humans have been recovering our survivors from destroyed ships. They are treating them medically and holding them safely. What? Vexthor looked up sharply. Why would they do that? In a human medical facility on one of the colony stations, Krillian prisoners were being treated for their injuries. The wounded aliens lay in clean beds, confused and frightened. Many expected torture or death. Instead, they received medical care. A human medic named Ji-Bei moved between the beds, checking patients. She was gentle and professional, treating the aliens the same way she would treat humans. When a young Krillian soldier flinched away from her, she spoke softly. I am not going to hurt you. I am a doctor. You were injured in the battle. I am here to help you heal. The soldier stared at her with wide eyes. But we attacked you. We tried to kill you. Why do you help us? Ji-Bei smiled sadly. Because you are hurt. Because beneath the armor and the weapons, you are a living being who feels pain. We do not hate you. We are just defending our homes. In another room, an engineer named Young Ko was explaining human technology to a group of captured Krillian officers. They had demanded to know how humans possessed such advanced weapons. Young Ko set up a holographic display. Our weapons are not magic, he said. They are science and engineering. We study other species' technology and we improve it. We combine different ideas in new ways. This is what humans do best. We adapt. One Krillian officer, his arm in a sling, shook his head. But you were supposed to be primitive. You only began space travel 50 years ago. That is true, Young Ko agreed. But humans have been fighting wars for thousands of years on our home world. We learned many hard lessons. We learned that the best weapon is not the biggest or strongest. It is the smartest. Another officer spoke, her voice bitter. You learned to kill efficiently. No, Young Ko said firmly. We learned to survive efficiently. There is a difference. Look at you. You are prisoners, but you are alive. You are being treated well. If we only wanted to kill, you would be dead. But we are not monsters. Then what are you? The first officer asked. Young Ko thought for a moment. We are persistent. You attacked us expecting prey. You found predators. But we are not mindless beasts. We are worse than that. We are intelligent predators who understand that today's enemy might be tomorrow's friend. So we fight hard enough to win, but not so cruel that peace becomes impossible. The captured Krillians sat in silence thinking about his words. Meanwhile, the war continued. Commander Wu Jiang finally got his chance to lead a boarding action. A Krillian cruiser had been disabled by fighter attacks. Its shields were down and its engines were dead. Wu and his Marines approached in small assault craft. Remember the rules, Wu said over the radio. Disable, do not kill unless necessary. Use stun weapons first, lethal force only in self-defense. The Marines breached the Krillian ship's hull and entered. The corridors were dark and filled with smoke. Krillian crew members tried to resist, but the humans moved with terrifying coordination. They used small drones to scout ahead. They used communication technology to confuse enemy radios. They struck from unexpected angles. Within 2 hours, the ship was secured. The Krillian crew was disarmed and detained. 3 Krillians had died in the fighting, all because they refused to surrender. 20 Marines were injured. No human deaths. Wu walked through the captured ship and saw the Krillian commander, a female officer named Thexra. She sat with her hands bound, glaring at him with hatred. You fight without honor, she spat, using tricks and deception. Wu knelt down to her eye level. We fight to win. Honor does not protect families. Strategy does. Intelligence does. Preparation does. Your commander chose this war. We are simply finishing it. Vexthor will destroy you all, Thexra said, but her voice lacked conviction. Perhaps, Wu said, or perhaps he will realize this war was a mistake. Either way, you and your crew will be returned safely when this ends. You have my word. Back on the Indomitable, Captain Yuna received a priority message from Human Command. She read it and then called her senior officers together. Earth Command has authorized Phase 2, she announced. We are moving from defense to offense. Intelligence has identified the Krillian supply lines. We are going to cut them. Tactical Coordinator Suhan pulled up a star map. We have traced their supply ships to these 3 routes. If we strike here, here, and here, we can stop reinforcements and supplies from reaching Vexthor's fleet. Will we destroy the supply ships? Asked Lim. No, Yuna said. We will disable them and take their cargo. Let the Krillians see that their supplies are being captured, not destroyed. Let them understand that we could kill, but we choose not to. Why? Asked a young officer. Would it not be faster to just destroy everything? Suhan answered. Because war ends eventually. When it does, both sides must live with what they did. If we are cruel now, the Krillians will hate us forever. If we are firm but fair, there is hope for peace later. The plan was executed perfectly. Human strike teams attacked supply convoys far from the main battle zone. They used fast ships and precise tactics. They disabled Krillian freighters and took food, fuel, and ammunition. They left the crews alive and even left them emergency supplies. One supply captain, rescued by humans after his ship was disabled, could not understand it. Why do you give us food and fuel? We are your enemies. The human marine who handed him the supplies shrugged, because leaving you to die in space would be murder. We are not murderers. We are soldiers. The captured supplies were sent back to human colonies. Nothing was wasted. Meanwhile, Vexthor's situation became desperate. His fleet was running low on ammunition. Food supplies were decreasing. Morale was collapsing. Worse, the Krillian High Command was beginning to ask difficult questions. How could a primitive species be winning against the mighty Krillian Empire? What had gone wrong? Vexthor had no good answers. His pride had led him to disaster. His arrogance had cost thousands of Krillian lives. And now, as he sat in his damaged flagship watching his fleet slowly disintegrate, he finally understood what Elder Thrain had tried to tell him. The humans were not primitive. They were experienced. They had fought and survived countless wars on their own world. They had learned from every conflict. They had taken that knowledge and applied it to space warfare with devastating effectiveness. Vexthor opened a communication channel to the Galactic Council. His voice was no longer arrogant. It was defeated and desperate. This is Commander Vexthor to the Galactic Council. I am requesting immediate mediation. The Krillian Empire wishes to negotiate a ceasefire with the human forces. The message was received. On Earth, Ambassador De Huang read it and allowed himself a small, sad smile. He composed a simple reply. Now you ask? The emergency session of the Galactic Council was the most attended meeting in 50 years. Every species sent representatives. The Great Hall was packed with beings who wanted to understand how the Krillian War had gone so wrong. Elder Thrain stood at the center, his old voice amplified so all could hear. We are here because the Krillian Empire has requested mediation in their conflict with humanity. Before we proceed, you must understand the full truth of what happened. He activated a holographic display. Battle footage began to play. The council members watched in shocked silence as human forces systematically dismantled the Krillian fleet. There was no wild aggression, no angry charges, just cold, calculated precision. A representative from the Phalid species spoke up. This cannot be real. The humans are so efficient. How is this possible? Because, Thrain said heavily, we have been keeping a secret for 50 years. With human permission, I'm now revealing classified information about the Vraxian incident. The room erupted in whispers. The Vraxian name was known but rarely spoken. Most species knew they had gone extinct, but few knew how or why. Thrain showed them. Old battle footage, reports, analysis. The systematic destruction of an entire species in 6 months. When the presentation ended, the council chamber was silent as death. Ambassador De Huang rose from his seat. Unlike before, he was not dressed in a simple suit. He wore his full military uniform now, covered with ribbons and medals. The council saw him differently. This was not just a diplomat. This was a warrior who had chosen to be a peacemaker. I am here, De said quietly, to speak for humanity. But first I want you to meet someone. A woman walked to the center. She was old, in her 70s, with white hair and tired eyes. This is Admiral Hei Song, retired. She was the engineer who designed the weapons that destroyed the Vraxian swarm. She is also the person who argued most strongly for keeping that destruction secret. Hei Song's voice was soft, but clear. I designed those weapons to save my homeworld. But when I saw what they could do, I was horrified. Not because they failed, but because they worked too well. After the war, I went to the council and begged them to help us. I said, and we do not want to be feared. We want to be friends. And they agreed. She looked around at the assembled aliens. For 50 years, we kept our true capabilities hidden. We limited our military. We focused on trade and exploration. We wanted peace, but the Krillians chose war. So now you see what humans can do when we have no other choice. A military strategist named Sung Yu stepped forward next. He was younger, maybe 40, with sharp eyes and a serious expression. He pulled up new displays showing detailed battle analysis. The Krillian forces made several critical errors, Sung explained. First, they assumed we were primitive. Second, they used outdated tactics. Third, they underestimated our intelligence gathering. We knew they were coming. We knew their plans. We prepared accordingly. He showed how human forces had adapted technology from dozens of different species. We learned from everyone. Shields from the Talaxians, weapons from the Korvax, engine designs from the Zentari. We took the best from each species and combined them in new ways. This is humanity's strength. We adapt, we learn, we improve. A counselor from the methane breathers asked the difficult question, "Will you now conquer us all? You have proven you are more powerful than we thought. Why should we not fear you?" Dai Huang answered. "Because we do not want to conquer. We want to live in peace. Look at the casualty reports. Yes, we destroyed many Krillian ships, but look at the prisoner counts. We captured thousands of Krillian soldiers. We treated their wounded. We fed them. We could have killed them all, but we did not. Why? Because we remember what it is like to be at war. We remember the cost, and we never want to pay it again unless we absolutely must." Behind the scenes, a human aide named Ara Moon was working with other council members to draft a peace agreement. She was skilled at finding compromises. She spoke with Krillian representatives who were embarrassed and angry about their defeat. "Your pride is hurt," she told them gently. "I understand. But pride kills. Your commander's pride led thousands of your people to die needlessly. Do not let more pride prevent peace now." One Krillian diplomat, a scarred veteran named Cross, struggled with the words. "How can we accept this? We are warriors. We do not surrender." "You are not surrendering," Ara said. "You are choosing wisdom over destruction. There is no shame in that. The real shame would be continuing a war you cannot win and losing more lives for nothing." Council mediator Plex, the floating gas being, worked to create terms both sides could accept. He consulted with Elder Thrain and the other elder counselors. They crafted an agreement carefully. The terms were presented to the full council. The Krillian Empire would withdraw from all human territories. They would pay reparations for damage to human colonies, but the amount was reasonable, not punishing. A demilitarized zone would be established between human and Krillian space. Both sides would reduce military presence in border areas. Most importantly, there would be a prisoner exchange. All captured Krillians would be returned home unharmed. The humans asked for nothing in return except peace. Vexthor himself appeared before the council via hologram. He looked broken. His armor was damaged. His pride was shattered. But he spoke clearly. "I was wrong. I admit it before the entire galaxy. I led my people into a disaster because I did not listen to warnings. Because I believed might alone was enough. I have learned otherwise. The Krillian Empire accepts these terms." Dai Huang stood and bowed slightly to Vexthor. "Your people fought bravely. We did not want this war, but now that it is ending, we hope for better relations in the future." The treaty was signed. The war was officially over after only 3 weeks. 3 weeks that had changed the balance of power in the galaxy forever. After the session ended, Sung Yu presented one final piece of information to the council. "You should know that what you saw was not our full capability. We held back. We used only a fraction of our military strength. This caused a stir." A counselor demanded, "Why tell us this now? To frighten us?" "No," Sung said. "To be honest with you, we want you to understand that we could have destroyed the entire Krillian fleet in days if we chose cruelty over restraint. We did not. We will not. But we need you to understand that attacking humanity is a terrible idea, not because we are evil, but because we are very, very good at surviving." Elder Thrain addressed the council one final time. "For 50 years we believed that hiding human strength would maintain peace. We were wrong. The Krillians attacked because they did not know the truth. So now the truth is revealed. Humanity is powerful, but they are also honorable. They seek peace. I propose that we accept them not as junior members of this council, but as full partners. The vote was held. It was unanimous. Humanity was granted a permanent seat on the Galactic Council's Security Committee. They would help maintain peace across the galaxy. As the council dispersed, species representatives whispered among themselves. The galaxy had changed. The young species from Earth had proven they belonged among the stars. But more importantly, they had proven that strength without wisdom was worthless. The Krillians had learned this the hard way. Now everyone else knew it too. Humanity was not to be trifled with. Not because they were cruel, but because they were competent, prepared, and unwilling to be victims. The war was over. But the real work of building lasting peace was just beginning. 3 months after the war ended, the galaxy was still adjusting to the new reality. The small human colonies in the Outer Rim were being rebuilt. Krillian prisoners had all been returned home, and the trading ships were moving between worlds again. On a former Krillian colony world called Thex Prime, a human merchant named Juan Ray was setting up a new trading post. The local Krillians watched him with mixed emotions. Some were suspicious. Others were curious. A few were grateful for the trade opportunities. Juan was a friendly man in his 50s who believed in the power of commerce to heal wounds. He hired local Krillians to work in his warehouse. He paid fair wages. He treated everyone with respect. A young Krillian worker named Drax approached him nervously one day. "Why do you do business here?" "My people attacked your people. Do you not hate us?" Juan looked up from his inventory tablet and smiled. "Your people did not attack me. Your commander made a bad decision. You were just following orders. Should I punish you for someone else's mistake? That would be stupid and bad for business. But the war is over," Juan said firmly. "Now we build the peace, and peace is built with trade, jobs, and people learning to trust each other. You do good work, Drax. That is all that matters to me." Elsewhere in the galaxy, cultural ambassador Mina Choi was having a harder time. She traveled between worlds trying to improve humanity's reputation. Many species were now afraid of humans. Others wanted to become allies immediately. Everyone had questions. At a cultural exchange on the planet Nixara, Mina gave a presentation about Earth history. She did not hide the violent parts. She showed them human wars, the terrible weapons, the millions who died in conflicts. "Why are you showing us this?" asked a horrified Nexaran scholar. "This makes your species look barbaric." "Because it is the truth," Mina said. "Humans have done terrible things to each other. We spent thousands of years fighting. We nearly destroyed ourselves several times, but we learned. Each war taught us lessons. Each conflict made us understand the cost of violence. We are not peaceful because we are weak. We are peaceful because we know exactly what war means." She showed images of Earth now. Beautiful cities, green parks, happy people. We chose peace. We chose to build instead of destroy. But we never forgot how to fight. We just prefer not to. The audience sat quietly, thinking about her words. Finally, the Nexaran scholar nodded slowly. "I think I understand. You are peaceful but not harmless." "Exactly," Mina smiled. On Earth, in a military training facility, a retired soldier named Hee Yun was teaching alien officers. The Galactic Council had requested that humans share some of their military knowledge. Many species wanted to improve their own defenses. He was a patient teacher. She showed them human tactics but always emphasized the philosophy behind them. "Fighting is not about being the strongest," she explained. "It is about being the smartest. You use intelligence. You use surprise. You use technology. And most importantly, you use restraint." A Talaxian officer asked, "Restraint? But we watched you destroy the Krillian fleet." "Yes," he agreed. "But we did not have to destroy them all. We could have. We had the weapons. But we chose to stop when they surrendered. Restraint means knowing when enough is enough. A warrior who cannot control their own power is just a weapon, not a soldier." The alien officers trained hard. They learned human methods. But more importantly, they learned human thinking. War was not glorious. It was necessary only when all other options failed. Meanwhile, Captain Una Park was dealing with difficult questions from her own government. She had returned to Earth as a hero, but the civilian leadership was concerned. How had the military prepared so much without civilian knowledge? What other secrets were there? Una sat before a government committee and answered their questions honestly. We did not hide this from you to deceive you. We hid it to protect the peace. If the galaxy knew our full capabilities, they would have feared us. Fear creates conflict. We wanted to avoid that. A senior senator looked at her seriously. But now the secret is out. What happens next? Now we prove that power does not corrupt us, Una said. We use our strength to protect the weak. We use our knowledge to teach others. We use our influence to maintain peace. That is what military strength should be used for. The committee debated for weeks. In the end, they agreed that the military had acted correctly, but new oversight procedures were put in place. The civilian government would have more visibility into military capabilities. It was a fair compromise. Across the galaxy, former Krillian commander Vexthor lived in exile on a frontier world. He had been stripped of his rank and banished from Krillian space. He worked as a simple laborer now, loading cargo at a spaceport. One day, a human merchant ship landed at his port. Vexthor recognized the design. His hands shook as he approached to unload the cargo. The ship's captain was a woman in her 30s who supervised the work. She noticed him staring. "Is something wrong?" "No," Vexthor said quietly. I recognize human ships now." The captain studied his face and seemed to understand. "You were military?" "Yes, I was. Against us?" Vexthor nodded, ashamed. The captain was quiet for a moment, then spoke gently. "The war is over. You are not my enemy now. You are just someone doing a job. Do it well, and there will be no problems between us." She walked away. Vexthor stood there, stunned. He had expected hatred or revenge. Instead, he got professionalism and respect. For the first time since the war ended, he felt a small spark of hope. Maybe the humans were right. Maybe the war really was over. In the Galactic Council headquarters, Ambassador De Huang sat with Elder Thrain. They drank tea together. A human custom Thrain had grown to appreciate. "Do you think it will last?" Thrain asked. "The peace?" Day considered the question. "I think it will last as long as we work at it. Peace is not automatic. It requires constant effort. We must trade with former enemies. We must teach and learn from each other. We must remember the cost of war so we never rush into it again." "Wise words," Thrain said. "You humans have changed the galaxy, not just with your military power but with your philosophy. You fight when you must, but you prefer to build. Other species are learning from that." Day smiled. "We learned from you too. From every species in the council. We took your best ideas and made them our own. That is what humans do. We adapt, we learn, we grow." "I am glad," Thrain said softly, "that I lived to see this. 50 years ago, after the Vraxian incident, I feared humanity. But you have proven that strength and wisdom can coexist." They sat together in comfortable silence. Two old diplomats who had helped build a better galaxy. Far away, on the edge of human space, young colonists were establishing new settlements. They built homes. They planted crops. They raised families. The war was already becoming history to them. They focused on the future, and that future looked bright. Humanity had proven itself to the galaxy, not as conquerors but as equals. They had earned their place among the stars not just through military might, but through honor, restraint, and a genuine desire for peace. The aftermath of the war was not perfect. There were still tensions, still suspicions, but there was also hope. And hope, as humans knew from their own long history, was the most powerful force in the universe. 1 year had passed since the war ended. The Galactic Council chamber looked the same as always, but everything had changed. The human delegation now sat at the Security Committee table, equal to the oldest and most powerful species. Their presence was no longer questioned. Ambassador Jin Wu, who had replaced the retiring Dai Huang, sat calmly in his seat. He was younger than his predecessor, only 45, but he had the same quiet confidence. Jin Wu had been a military strategist during the war. Now he was a diplomat. He understood both perspectives. Today the council was meeting to consider a new species for membership. The Draconians were a proud, aggressive race from a distant sector. They had conquered 7 nearby systems and now wanted to join the galactic community. Their application had been controversial. The Draconian ambassador, a large reptilian being named Kresh, stood before the council. He spoke with absolute confidence. "The Draconian Empire is strong. We have advanced technology. We have a powerful military. We will be valuable members of this council. Some counselors nodded. Others looked doubtful. Military strength alone was not enough for membership. But the Draconians seemed unaware of this. Elder Thrain, now even older but still serving, asked the important question. "Tell us, Ambassador Kresh, how do you resolve conflicts with other species?" Kresh raised his head proudly. "We demonstrate our superiority. When others see our strength, they submit. This is the natural order." There was uncomfortable silence in the chamber. Several species had heard similar words before. From the Krillians. Right before disaster, Jin Wu stood slowly. All eyes turned to him. The human representative had been quiet during most of the application process. Now he spoke for the first time. "Ambassador Kresh, your species reminds me of someone. Of the Krillians, actually." Kresh's eyes narrowed. "The Krillians are a defeated people. We are nothing like them." "No," Jin Wu smiled slightly. "You are confident. You are strong. You are certain of your place in the universe. These are the exact qualities the Krillians possessed 1 year ago." "And what happened to them?" Kresh asked, though his voice was less confident now. "They learned an important lesson," Jin Wu said. "They learned that there is always someone tougher, always someone smarter, always someone who prepared better. The question is not whether your species is strong. The question is whether you are wise enough to know when not to use that strength." Elder Thrain spoke again. "We would like to share some historical information with you, Ambassador Kresh. We call it the Krillian miscalculation. It is required education for all new council applicants." The lights dimmed. A holographic display showed the Krillian War from beginning to end. Kresh watched in growing horror as the proud Krillian fleet was systematically destroyed. He saw the efficiency of human tactics, the restraint in victory, the wisdom in the peace terms. When the display ended, Kresh was much quieter. I did not know humans were so capable." "Most species did not know," Jin Wu said. "We prefer it that way. We do not want to be feared. We want to be respected. There is a difference." Another counselor, a Phalid named Mora, added her voice. "Strength is important, Ambassador Kresh, but wisdom is more important. The humans could have destroyed the Krillian Empire completely. They chose not to. That is real power. The power to choose mercy over cruelty. Can your species make that choice?" Kresh sat down heavily. His arrogance was gone. In its place was uncertainty and something that might have been respect. "I need to consult with my government. I need to share what I have learned here." The council voted to delay the draconian application. They would be welcome to reapply. But first they needed to demonstrate that they understood the principles of galactic civilization. Strength was not enough. Wisdom was required. After the session, Jin Wu walked through the council gardens with Director Narration. She had been promoted to lead human intelligence operations and now coordinated with council security. They walked in comfortable silence for a while. "Do you think the Draconians will learn?" Nari asked. "Some will," Jin Wu said. "Others will not. Just like with every species, including humans, we have wise people and fools. The Draconians are probably the same. Should we be worried about them?" "Always be prepared," Jin Wu smiled. "But do not be paranoid. There is a difference." On Earth, historian Bin Choi was putting the finishing touches on his book. It was called The First 100 Years, Humanity Among the Stars. The book covered everything from early space exploration to the Krillian War. It was honest about human failures and successes. The most important chapter was about the Vraxian extinction. Bin did not glorify it. He showed it as the terrible necessity it had been. He included personal accounts from soldiers who had participated. Many spoke of nightmares and regret, even though they knew they had been defending Earth. One quote stuck with readers. It was from the late Admiral Jin Quan, Unipark's father. He had written in his private journal, "We did what we had to do. We protected our home, but I hope we never have to do this again. War is not glorious. It is not heroic. It is terrible and necessary and should always be the last option. We won because we had no choice, because they attacked our families. I pray that the galaxy learns from this and chooses peace." The book became required reading in schools across human space and was translated into dozens of alien languages. It helped other species understand human psychology, why humans were peaceful but never defenseless, why they valued life but were willing to fight for it. On a human colony world called New Busan, children played in a park. Above them, both human and alien ships patrolled together in joint defense formations. The children did not think this was strange. To them it was normal. Humans and aliens working together, protecting each other. Admiral Una Park watched from her office nearby. She was now in charge of all human military forces in the Outer Rim. She saw the children playing and remembered her father's words from long ago when she was young. He had told her, "The strong survive, the smart thrive, but the wise build something that lasts." Humans had not just won a war. They had secured their place in the galaxy, not through conquest, not through fear, but by demonstrating that underestimating them came at a terrible cost, while respecting them led to friendship and prosperity. The galaxy had changed. New trade routes connected former enemies. Joint research projects combined human and alien science. Cultural exchanges helped species understand each other better. And at the center of it all, the Galactic Council maintained peace with human help. There were still problems, of course. The universe was large and complex. New challenges appeared constantly. But now there was a framework for dealing with them. A proven system where strength was balanced with wisdom and power was tempered with restraint. Commander Vexthor, still in exile, received a message one day. It was from the Krillian government. They wanted him to return home. Not to his old rank, but to teach at their military academy. They wanted him to share what he had learned about humility, about underestimating enemies, and about the true cost of pride he accepted. As he boarded the transport that would take him home, he thought about the humans who had defeated him. They had been his enemies for 3 weeks. In the year since, they had been neither friends nor enemies, just neighbors. And that, he realized, was exactly what they wanted at the next council meeting. Several months later, the Draconians returned. Ambassador Kresh spoke again, but his tone was different. Humble, thoughtful. My government has studied the materials you provided. We have learned much. We understand now that joining the Galactic Council is not about demonstrating strength. It is about demonstrating responsibility. We wish to reapply, with a new understanding of what membership means. The Council deliberated. The Draconians had made genuine changes. They had released several conquered worlds to independence. They had begun diplomatic relations with their neighbors. They showed promise. The vote was called. The Draconians were accepted as probationary members. They would have full membership in 5 years if they continued to demonstrate peaceful intentions. As the session ended, Jinwoo approached Kresh. Welcome to the Council. I look forward to working with you. Kresh bowed respectfully. Thank you, Ambassador Jinwoo. I have learned much from studying your species. I hope we can learn more. We are all learning, Jinwoo said. Every day. From each other. That is what makes this council work. Not our weapons. Not our ships. But our willingness to grow and change and become better than we were. He walked away, leaving Kresh to think about those words. In her office, Admiral Una wrote her daily log. She wrote about the patrols, the training exercises, the mundane details of maintaining peace. At the end, she added a personal note. Father once told me that the goal is not to win wars, but to build something that lasts. Today I saw human and Talaxian ships on joint patrol. I saw Krillian merchants trading peacefully in our markets. I saw alien children playing with human children in the park. This is what lasts. This is what we fought for. Not victory. Peace. She saved the file and looked out her window at the stars. Somewhere out there, humanity's ships traveled between worlds, exploring, trading, defending when necessary, but always trying to build something better. The galaxy had learned a hard lesson. Humanity was not to be trifled with. But they had also learned something more important.